Okay, I think we can begin the final keynote of FDG 2020. So we've had an amazing week, and to close that out, we have an equally amazing final keynote speaker. It is Deirdre Quarnstrom from Microsoft. Microsoft also happens to be one of our sponsors this year for FDG as well, so we're really grateful to them for that. Deirdre is the leader of Minecraft Education, which is helping educators all around the world engage with their students through Minecraft and projects within it and projects related to it, as well as initiatives like the Minecraft Hour of Code. And she's also the director of Block by Block, which is a nonprofit dedicated to helping improve things like community strengthening and public space planning using tools like Minecraft too. So touching on many of the topics of this conference, from education, social good, the impact of games beyond entertainment, and of course, Minecraft, I'm delighted to welcome Deirdre to the virtual stage for FDG 2020. Thanks so much for being here, Deirdre.
Great, thank you, Mike. Back in March 2020, as all of us know, schools around the world began to close suddenly. According to UNESCO reports, an estimated 1.4 billion students around the world were impacted by this, either not going to school at all or attending school remotely in some cases. Parents were scrambling to find childcare and just how to keep their kids learning. Students were isolated from their friends and really struggling to stay engaged if they were doing some kind of remote schooling. And educators and school leaders had the enormous task of figuring out how to get these 1.4 billion students back in class and learning. I have two daughters at home, so I know in our house we were in those first weeks in March figuring out which corners of the house we could be in to have a quiet place for a meeting or a class where the Wi-Fi was still good enough. The word from that period that I remember most of all is unprecedented. And really today, families, educators, and school leaders continue to face unprecedented challenges in the new school year. So I've been asking the question, in some cases answering the question, is it possible that a video game can help? So as Mike said, my name is Deirdre Quarnstrom, and I lead the Minecraft Atlas team at Microsoft. My pronouns are she and her. I joined Mojang Studios, which is the game studio that makes Minecraft, to build on work that was already happening in the educator community. It's been just an amazing learning journey these past, I guess, 6 years now. And I've met so many amazing people from the educator community and the gaming community. And I think what's been most interesting and exciting is seeing how those different communities have come together to create this. I also lead our Minecraft China business. I help drive the work to make Minecraft more accessible for players of all abilities. That includes things like features for players on the autism spectrum who might be more comfortable adjusting settings for intense colors or loud sounds. We also integrated the Microsoft Immersive Reader that helps people who have learning differences like dyslexia. I sponsor our diversity and inclusion efforts within the studio to help create a place where everyone belongs. And as Mike said, I'm on the board of a nonprofit called Block by Block. With Block by Block, we use Minecraft to empower people and communities in the developing world through a partnership between Microsoft, Mojang Studios, and UN Habitat. I also have two children, as I mentioned, and they're home starting their school day with me here today. My journey with Minecraft began with learning. I spent time in classrooms and computer labs like the pictures that you see here. I also spent time at education conferences and workshopping with teachers. Some of the teachers were the early adopters who were already using games in their classrooms, and in some cases Minecraft. Others, I'll say, were a bit more skeptical about the potential of bringing a game into the classroom, and maybe even beyond skeptical, anxious when they started thinking about every student, every face looking back at them in the classroom knew more about this game than they did. I also spent a lot of time reading in those early days. I immersed myself in the work of Jim G. in his book, What Games Have to Teach Us About Learning and Literacy, and then Greg Topo's book, which really explored a lot of those concepts in practice in classrooms a decade later. Jane McGonigal's work on how games can heal and enhance happiness was really influential in a lot of our early work with Minecraft and education. And then also the research and work from my friends like Bron Stuckey and her work on communities of practice, Matt Farber's deep exploration in game-based learning, and of course, Mitch Resnick at MIT and his work on lifelong kindergarten and playful learning. And so many others who have studied the why and how games support learning. I've also really want to highlight the practical learnings from educators in the classroom, people like Steve Isaacs, Rafans Davis, Diane Main, and Stephen Reed, who are some of those early adopters and innovators who have, in some cases gone a little bit rogue in their classrooms and brought video games in and seen incredible results. Themes from the research and from these classroom experiences that I've had really came to life the very first time that I saw Minecraft in a classroom. I was at the South by Southwest conference in Austin, Texas, and was invited to a classroom that was using Minecraft EDU. There were about 20 students, 8 or 9 years old, and they were writing a story together, learning about the elements of story, like character and story arc and setting. And the day we were there, they were building the setting for the story they had created in Minecraft in the computer lab. So they kind of got together at the beginning, they set some rules for engagement for what they were going to do in Minecraft. They laid out their plan that they had built out for the story, and then they got in and got to building. The first thing that I noticed was one girl who'd been very quiet in some of the prep pre-work session. And as soon as she was in the Minecraft world, it was very clear that was a place that she felt confident. She took a leadership role and began in the chat instructing some of the other students about what roles they should play. And it was really eye-opening for me to see how bringing a game into the classroom really could help that one student come to life and show her strengths that might not have shown up in the traditional classroom. Something else I saw was another student who, as I was watching, I was thinking, that doesn't look like the plan that they've set out. I think he's going off in the wrong direction. And I didn't want to interfere, of course. I watched, and another student sent him a chat and pointed out that he was in the wrong place. I just thought, oh my gosh, this is terrible. He's spent all this time building. But he very matter-of-factly started breaking those blocks and going over to the right spot and building again without the kind of embarrassment that you might expect to see from someone making a mistake, or even the frustration of having wasted work. I think there really is something about that feels kind of productive and feels good about both breaking and placing blocks in Minecraft. The key takeaways from that afternoon in the classroom and from all of the research and classroom observations I've done are a few things. One is the role of an avatar in reducing fear of failure and encouraging iteration, which is so critical to the learning process. So that example is a student working on a part of the setting, getting it all wrong, but just breaking it down and starting over again. Teachers want to see that same kind of tenacity when students are learning how to multiply fractions. The second theme that really emerged was the value of connected multiplayer environments to support collaboration and student autonomy. Students are building digital citizenship skills and practicing the same kind of virtual collaboration and interaction that's increasingly common in the professional world. Things that we're all doing today and that we've been doing for months, but that will continue even as we return to some state of normalcy. Finally, the freedom of an open world and a great big inventory inspires curiosity and problem solving in a way that's really difficult to achieve in a typical K-12 classroom. So I'm going to go into a little bit of the history of Minecraft and Minecraft education. Minecraft has been around for over 10 years now. It might be surprising to some of you who think it's kind of a new phenomenon, and maybe more surprising to those of you who played in the early days of beta that feel like decades ago. At the most basic level, it's a game about placing and breaking blocks. It's about mining and crafting, as the name suggests. But it's so much more than that. And even in the Minecraft beta 11 years ago now, educators saw the potential for Minecraft in the classroom. Two educators that I'll highlight are Senteri Koivisto from Finland and Joe Levin from New York. They formed a company called Teacher Gaming and created a Minecraft mod that adapted the Minecraft game to classroom use. My team has continued to build on that grassroots effort with Minecraft Education Edition, which we launched in 2016. And we started all of this work with the premise that Minecraft is a game used in education, not an educational game. It's a subtle but important nuance that we continue to embrace today. We didn't want to ruin Minecraft and what was so fun and engaging and immersive by making it too educational. I used to joke with my team that I woke up every morning thinking, I hope today is not the day that I ruin Minecraft, because I did feel that pressure and the weight of the community and the challenge of making something educational while still maintaining some of the magic of it. We did, though, as much as we were embracing the consumer game, we did recognize that classroom usage had some specific nuances and requirements. And we worked with school leaders and educators to identify those. First and foremost, we kept player safety and student data privacy at the center of everything we were doing. And so we created environments that school administrators could manage, so people from the outside can't come in and play. Students are limited to play with others in their school community. We also added classroom mode, which provides teachers with a set of controls for managing world settings. So they can decide if lava is on or off. They can decide which mobs can be in the game. They can also help students that may have strayed off from the assignment come back and join the class. We also heard that in-game assessment was something that was really important to educators. From my time in the classroom, sometimes, observing over the shoulder, meeting with teachers, we heard over and over the teachers saying, I see the learning happening when the students are in Minecraft. I can observe it, but I don't have a good way of capturing that. So we added an in-game camera to Minecraft Education Edition. We did that in kind of a Minecrafty way. It's an old-timey camera on a tripod, and there's a little puff of smoke when the flashbulb explodes. But that allows the students to capture their learning. They can add some commentary on that, download the file, and then turn it in as part of an assignment or a group project. And this really responded to what educators were asking for, but also in a fun way for students. So you can imagine one of the first things that students might do with a camera is take selfies. And so that created a really fun element that they got to play through before they got to that task of documenting how long it took to build the pyramids in ancient Egypt. We've also added an in-game library, recognizing that there is a lot of anxiety for educators using games for the first time. And we want to make it very straightforward for them to connect to their curriculum and what they were teaching in class. So through the in-game library, students can navigate within the Minecraft Education Edition client to hundreds of lessons in all sorts of subjects, from the anatomy of the human eye and how vision works, to lessons on social emotional learning that allow students to do some meditative breathing and practice journaling, and an effort to think about mindfulness and self-regulation in the classroom, which is even more important now in this stressful moment in time. Since then, we've also invested in features for students like chemistry and computer science. These subjects have been chosen because they lend themselves well to a Minecraft environment. On some level, they're about breaking things apart and putting things together. With the chemistry tools, you can build all of the elements in the periodic table. And again, we've done that in a Minecrafty way. We're using a video game UI and version of the Bohr model to add protons, neutrons, and electrons to create elements. You can do that if you know all that information. You can come right in and build your oxygen molecule, or you can do it by trial and error, which is kind of fun, and just start clicking and see what you come up with. You can craft helium, the elements to make up latex, and make a balloon that you can attach to a pig to see it fly up into the sky. So it's all based in science, but it's also fun, and we bring that game design element in. I have a short video that I'm going to play, and I'm going to hope you can bear with me and the technology works, but this gives you an overview of how this all comes together.
We are born learners. We crave new challenges and new adventures. Our creativity is limitless. And when we learn through play, amazing, often unexpected things happen. In schools and in homes around the world, students are using Minecraft to build cities, explore coral reefs, to create with code, run science experiments, and to tell fantastic stories. Minecraft has always been about exploration and discovery, bringing together a global community of co-creators. Now, the next generation of engineers, biologists, and designers are inspiring us with their creations. Minecraft Education Edition empowers learners to solve problems they care about, to connect in new ways far beyond the classroom, and to build a better world through the power of play.
Go through a few more examples of how this works in practice. This is an example of students building kind of a virtual 3D printer using a clone function. So they're building a replica of the windmill that you see on the left. The program detects each block that's in that windmill and places a duplicate block on the platform. The applications for a Minecraft player are really fun to imagine. You could build a procedurally generated city or build on this very basic program to create even more complex builds. This next example is a way that project-based learning could be used with Minecraft as an element. So if the students are studying a unit on ancient Greece, they might include elements of history, art, architecture, and here they can add computer science. These two agents you see building represent two players coming together and building the columns by writing code instead of doing them block by block. And on the right, you can see the completed structure. Here's a bit of a deeper dive into how our code builder works. Students are building a maze and then creating basic pathfinding and AI to navigate it. You can switch between blocks and JavaScript or Python. And here you see the maze that they built and their agent navigating it. When it reaches a dead end, turns around, follows that pathfinding logic that they built. Again, this is a very basic exercise, and you can imagine adding on to this and building even more complex challenges. What I love is this is student driven and they can decide how hard they want to make it. And then at the end there's a little bit of a celebration. This next building, does anyone recognize this? And this is not a Minecraft build, this is an actual photograph. This is the Beehive, the Parliament building in Wellington, New Zealand. I visited the education minister there last year when we were doing some work with a local Minecraft creator in New Zealand who was building a way to teach students about the Maori culture and language. This week is actually Maori Language Week, so we launched this a year ago. New Zealand is one of several countries that recognizes the need to build STEM skills and digital skills for the future of their workforce. And they've invested in Minecraft Education Edition for all students in the country, both bringing those digital and STEM skills, as well as being able to engage students in learning of the Maori language, which is part of their curriculum. And of course, students went in and built the Beehive in the Minecraft world. The key takeaway from this is not how visually accurate or realistic it is, but the idea of problem solving and the creativity and different skills that comes together when students are working on a build like this. We often see students taking different roles where someone may be more of a designer role in choosing materials, someone else thinking about the structure of it and how to go about creating it. These are some examples really drawn largely from the classroom. I'm going to expand out into some of the other social good and social impact areas with Minecraft that might be a little bit more unexpected or surprising. In 2019, we built a Minecraft model of the UN compound in Nairobi, Kenya that was used during the open ceremony of the first UN Habitat Assembly. This helped demonstrate how Minecraft is used for community building through the Block by Block program. Leaders from member states navigated the virtual space, and it was a space where their conference was taking place. It was really interesting for them to see how that comes alive and just how immersive it feels when you're in a space, in a virtual 3D space in the first person. We also shared examples of where Minecraft has been used throughout Africa, including the Kalo Bay informal settlement in northwestern Kenya, in the Dandora slum on the edge of Nairobi, and several projects in Ethiopia. A few years earlier, the Block by Block Foundation hosted a pop-up public space at Habitat 3 in Quito, Ecuador. The goal of this was to demonstrate the potential for these sustainable, low-cost micro-interventions in communities. In the space, we had a virtual Minecraft model of the La Mariscal neighborhood where the village, the Habitat 3 village was held. And we invited people from the community to come in and make changes to that space like we do with Block by Block workshops. Often workshop participants will introduce things like lighting or safety features or places for community gathering. It's really an amazing opportunity to reach people in these public participation processes that are often much more complex with blueprints and architectural drawings. Here in Minecraft, it feels like you're actually in the space. Going back to some of the school lessons, these are some examples of lessons in biodiversity focused on sustainability that we created in partnership with the World Wildlife Foundation. And these allow educators to connect standards with some real life examples and some really fun, engaging Minecraft lessons. This is something very much related to the pandemic that I came across in LinkedIn. It's a private company that had to cancel an event like so many companies did. It was an in-person workshop, and instead they decided to host it in Minecraft. Over 5 days, they engaged 73 people in this Minecraft world. For them, they were actually studying leadership and decision-making and organizational behavior. And so the Minecraft world and this virtual gathering provided an even more immersive opportunity for them to do that. We've seen so many examples of student-led innovation and leadership during the pandemic. In the early spring, there was I think the first report I saw of a Minecraft graduation was an elementary school in Japan. Since then, we've seen dozens and dozens of university campuses sort of sprout up in Minecraft. One example is Berkeley. I'm sure there's some Berkeley grads out there. A group formed and they called themselves Blockley University. They constructed the entire Berkeley campus in Minecraft, including some of their favorite pizza and boba tea spots. They also worked with the university to host a virtual commencement that featured the chancellor and vice chancellor and Lydia Winters from the Minecraft team to replace the in-person graduation commencement ceremony that was canceled. These university builds have also been used in the fall to welcome incoming students in some cases when the students aren't live on campus. So coming back to back to school and remote learning, we very quickly realized how challenging this time is and have created a set of resources for educators to help them get started. Again, some of it is context on game-based learning and intended to give them the confidence to bring this into their classrooms and make it part of their teaching practice. There's a free remote learning kit as well as a free trial for Minecraft Education Edition. And then recognizing that learning doesn't start and end at school, we've also added resources for families and for Minecraft players. For anyone who owns Minecraft Bedrock Edition, there are now 17 free lessons or worlds in the education collection. And those include things like a scale model of the International Space Station that we built in partnership with NASA, to the Lumen Challenge worlds created by Blockworks that encourage students to build a sustainable city or think about energy conservation. We also have subject kits that make it really easy for educators to jump in. And so, as they're thinking about learning opportunities, whether they're virtual and live with the students or creating asynchronous work for the students to work on their own or in small groups remotely. One other item, and I'll just touch on this quickly because I want to make sure that we have time for questions, was creating a Minecraft Student Challenge Kit. Again, a lot of these resources are really here to support educators, support school leaders in their planning. This could be used by an individual classroom teacher or on a much larger scale. We've seen the New York City Department of Education use this in the spring. And what it is a set of tools and templates and suggestions, and here are some learning prompts across topics of sustainability and accessibility to encourage students to come together and work and think about creative solutions, and they do that by building examples in Minecraft. There's something about the Minecraft building experience that students are really excited about, and in some cases I think it provides a great feedback cycle on iterating on their creative ideas and solutions. So it's definitely yet to be seen what's in store for this back to school year. Many schools have returned to in-person classes in different places in the world. Others are still remote, and then others have this hybrid model where they're in class a couple of days a week or maybe every other week. What is consistent around the world, though, is a renewed focus on equity in education, which is incredibly important. As students are maybe not in class and don't have access to the technology that's there, the entire technology and education community really needs to continue to come together and find solutions on how to make that more accessible. We've also seen a pretty consistent, sometimes it's memes, but I know that there's a seriousness behind it of the respect for educators and all they do with our children. It's sort of suddenly when they're at home, you recognize just how challenging it must be to keep 20 to 30 students engaged throughout a school day. What I hope that we'll see is a new and hopefully sustained focus on the role of technology and how video games can serve as a platform for teaching and learning for social engagement and creative inspiration for students. I know with tools like Minecraft, from what I've seen in classrooms, in the hands of students and educators, that we can inspire the next generation of creative problem solvers, inventors, and leaders. In 2019, Polygon ranked the 100 best games of the decade. They selected Minecraft as #1, and I'd like to leave you with this quote from that article. "When our descendants look back upon us and upon our time, they will see many images of tyrants and cruelty, of waste and stupidity, but they will also see Minecraft, within which the next generation perhaps will begin to learn how to build a better world." All right, thank you. I'm gonna stop sharing, and I think we have a few minutes for questions.
We do indeed. Thank you so much, Deirdre, for that talk. That was really wonderful. Get some clap emojis in the chat, as well as any questions you have. And what an amazing, I mean, that range of short stories that you told us about all of the different ways Minecraft's being used, I was really surprised. I had no idea there was so much going on, and a very touching note to end on as well, especially for the current time that we're in. Maybe while chat's getting the questions ready, I wanted to ask you, there's so many of us, we're researching from different angles, and many of us have touched on games like Minecraft in the past. What's the one thing you would love us to do? Like, what do you think we could do to help the goal of education and helping students and teachers engage more? Are there any research questions, problems that you just can't solve?
Oh my gosh, that's a fantastic question. I see some comments about VR. I think VR and AR has a ton of promise in education. I think considering that balance of the equity question, it's something that I've really struggled to pursue. So that's an area I'm interested in, and learning and hearing more from researchers about what kind of applications, where you see the potential for VR and AR in education. Another area is computer science education, and this has been so interesting to study. I actually, my mother went back and was cleaning out her house and sent me a bunch of school papers. I had taken the AP computer science exam in, I think it was 1991. And what's so interesting and a bit discouraging at times is that we haven't really evolved as much as one would think we would have in setting standards for computer science education for K-12 learners. And thinking about how we teach that, that sort of logo turtle from the 80s continues. Even the maze that I showed you today is sort of another iteration of that. So I think scaffolded computer science education that is broadly accessible and can be adopted across the K-12 curriculum is a really big need.
The maze in Minecraft was a lot cooler than the turtle, I will say that much. Christoph Salga has a question there he'd like to ask.
Yeah, but first of all, thank you very much for the talk. And I'm already convinced that Minecraft is a great platform for a lot of these things. And I was wondering, you might have seen our procedural content generation competition we run in Minecraft. So we have this international competition where people build AIs or code to create whole Minecraft settlements. And I was wondering, looking at the education edition, I've only had a chance to briefly look at it so far. Do you think this is a platform where we could realize this in, where people could, really write extensive Python code, pipe in machine learning libraries, and really bring the full force of AI to bear on this?
That's absolutely the vision. I want to capture your question and sort of write that up as our vision. So yes, we started very basically. I think the journey we see with Minecraft often is sometimes players will observe and watch others play. They'll get in and play themselves. Then they want to customize their environment. And our vision and goal is really to continue on that path to enable them to create their own games, to write code, to share that with others. We've recently, we started out with block-based coding and added JavaScript, and have this year added Python and Azure Notebooks. So there is, the potential really is unlimited. We're not quite there yet, but I would love for you to take a look at that. And then I'd love to hear any feedback on areas that we could focus on and invest. But that's absolutely the vision.
Would there be a possibility to reach out to you or something to chat about this some more?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to DM me on Twitter, that might be the best way. My email is a bit overflowing, so sometimes I manage it.
I'll try Twitter then.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you.
I'm sure we can relate. Yeah, Christoph and his team, the work they've done on the competition is fantastic, and all of the Minecraft things that they've made happen are fantastic. All right, I think we may have to, in order to keep on schedule, I'm afraid we may have to stop it there unless anyone's got a really quick question. But thank you so much, Deirdre. Some more clap emojis, please. Conversations will continue on the Discord, and we can always chat more there. But thank you so much for coming along and sharing all of this wonderful positivity with us for the end of our conference.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks very much.